it's now time to move on and help you build some skills and understanding around recognition of prior learning and some skills about mapping and questioning. So there's quite a lot in this little task here. So we're going to go back to our case study on Susan, who's the teacher. And we saw one of her needs was to gain recognition of her prior learning. She's been a teacher. So let's have a look at some of those unit descriptors that we might be able to then break down and have a look at. So I've actually downloaded from training.gov.au the current unit on Make a Presentation. So we're going to double click on this icon. And you'll see because I downloaded a Word version, it allows me to customize it. So here already I've been able to highlight some key terms. So in the unit description, it just talks about deliver and review a presentation. It doesn't say a workplace training or anything about the workplace. Don't forget she's a K-12 curriculum, kindergarten to year 12 curriculum school teacher. This one means that she should be able to get a direct credit or a recognition of her prior learning as a school teacher. So let's just go down and see, don't forget, you're going to be an expert in the course that you're teaching. So if you were to be teaching the TAE qualification, you would be an expert in every single one of these units. All right? So just work with my assumptions here. I'm the expert. I'm showing you that, we've highlighted this key information. So presentations for a range of purposes when we look at the application of the unit. So this is going to be fine. This is relevant for her prior learning as a K-12 teacher. So now we move on. And this is a very, very basic recognition of prior learning tool simply by going to training.gov.au and downloading the unit and starting to customize that. So here we are. We've got the elements and performance criterion now. Element 1, prepare a presentation. And you can see here I've actually made 4 new columns. Okay, so all I did to do that was to actually go into the last column, the first row of that right-hand column that would have been there. I've right-clicked, I've gone Insert Columns to the right, and that allowed me to make these additional columns, and then I just resized them. I'll just undo that. Okay. Then I was able to go to each of these and change the font. You can see here, up the top here in the left, to Wingdings 2. And that meant that if I hit my caps lock on my keyboard and my P button, that makes the tick. Okay, so that's just one way that you can set it all up. So mapping is here. This is the mapping, all right? So mapping to evidence that you are using to provide that recognition of prior learning. So with Susan, one of her pieces of evidence is her qualifications, her teacher qualifications, her current registration as a teacher. You can see here any products, any maybe PowerPoint presentations or handouts, stencils, whatever to her school children. And then of course your questioning, and we need the questions, your questions to her for demonstration of knowledge. Okay? So you can see here with these ticks, that's the mapping, that's showing her qualification, her teaching qualification was able to demonstrate these. Okay, so this is a good visual glance to make sure we're getting sufficient evidence under our rules of evidence. Okay, so let's jump back now that you can see that. We'll go back to our steps because there's a few steps here. We've double clicked on it. We know how to scroll down. And now this is asking us to scroll down to Performance Criterion 2.2. All right, so this is 1.1. So we'll need to go to Element 2. Here's Element 2, which is referring to delivering that presentation, and Performance Criterion 2. So here's 2.2 here. So let's read it. Use presentation aids, materials and examples to support target audience's understanding of the central ideas. Okay, it sounds a bit waffly, but when you're the expert in your workplace and you're the expert on your training package, you will understand all of this. You might be teaching senior first aid and you'll understand performance 2.2 on senior first aid, where most people would just read it as waffle, all right? So let's have a look here, 2.2. Now we can see here that her qualifications demonstrate that. Her teacher's registration demonstrates that she can use presentation aids and materials, and she's been able to provide us with actual products. That sounds like she may have supplied a PowerPoint or two, okay? But we would also, right now, like to ask her a question about that, just to check her knowledge. So what we would do to map that, this is just giving you a chance to demonstrate a basic mapping skill. We would click in that column and your RTO will have their own RPL forms and tools to use. This is just one way, okay? So I'm clicking in my questions column and I'm hitting the caps lock button and P, and that will make a tick for me because remember I set this to Wingdings. It's not Arial font or New Times Roman. It's actually, if you look on that left hand corner, Wingdings 2. Alright. So we've done that now, and you will have to follow this step and tick that questions column by hitting caps lock P. And then that means here you will have to ask your question. So clicking your cursor within that box of 2.2, and you can see the P means product, and the example that was given was a PowerPoint, okay, as the product. So now we're going to have to do Q for question, had it on caps lock, and I want you to ask a question about that. I need you to start demonstrating your skill in asking relevant questions that relate to the performance criterion. So what could you ask to demonstrate how Susan would be using presentation aids? So you might ask, what presentation materials have you used in your presentations? Okay, I'm going to wipe that off because I want you to ask your own relevant question there.